I owe a great deal to Ben Graham in terms of learning about investing, and I owe a great deal to Charlie in terms of learning a lot about business. If I'd been black, my future would have been entirely different. If I'd been a female, my life would have been entirely different. I could buy any house in the world, and I don't want any other house than the one I'm in. And that house is in a middle-class neighborhood. I'm happy in a pair of khakis and a sweater, so I don't need fancy clothes. I don't need fancy food.
Do you have an iPad?
I do not have an iPad.
iPhone?
No. You do have to have emotional control. I mean, we see very smart people do very stupid things, and it's fascinating how humans do that. Just take the people that get very rich and then leverage themselves up in some way that they lose everything. I mean, that they are risking something that's important to them for something that isn't important to them. Well, you can say you can figure that one out in first grade, but people do it time after time. And you see that constantly, self-destructive behavior of one sort or another. I think we've probably, and it doesn't take a genius to do it, but I think we've sort of avoided the self-destructive behavior.
I think the ideal thing is to focus with people that are better than you are, because you will move in the direction of the people you associate with. And I advise students all of the time, marry up, marry somebody better. It can't be done mathematically if everybody tries to do it, but your behavior will move in the direction of the people you associate with. And so why not associate with the best? I mean, I've had a number of heroes in life, and associating with them has done wonders for me. I would not have been the same person. I would not have had the same fun in life if I'd been indiscriminate in terms of who I associate with over time. I think it was about 1992, shortly after I met Bill Gates. I was out at his parents, and they had some other guests, and Bill's dad asked each of us, and there were probably 20 or so, to write down on a piece of paper one word that would best describe what had helped us the most. And Bill and I, without any collaboration at all, each wrote the word focus. And I would say my partner Charlie Munger is an extreme example of focus. But that's why Tiger Woods hit 10,000 putts too, or Roger Federer's. But spending 3 or 4 hours a day hitting a golf ball, or some pianist has been spending 5 hours a day practicing. I mean, focus is just bearing down on something that in my case, and I think probably the case of most people that are reasonably good at what they do, that they enjoy. I mean, you wouldn't be able to do it if it was work. So it's a natural. It is not. I say to myself, I'm going to focus on this or do anything of the sort. It's just a natural behavior, and it's been that way ever since I was a kid. But kids focus. I mean, the best kid at baseball in 8th grade is taking a lot of swings out there, or I think Bill Bradley told me how he used to shoot baskets 5 or 6 hours a day because he figured some other guy was doing it 4 hours a day. But he enjoyed it too, and it's the same way with me. I can't tell you the color of the walls in my bedroom or my living room, or the color of the carpet in my living room. One time, when I worked at home, I worked in this little sewing room sort of off the bedroom, and at one point my wife put in this wallpaper with this bright red and had dollar bills on it or something. She found it someplace. And a couple of years later, I said to her, that new wallpaper is terrific. And she said, it's been there a couple of years. I don't see things like that. I'm not colorblind or anything, but it's just not something that grabs me. And on the other hand, I'll remember a number sometimes a long, long time. My partner Charlie Munger would be the same way. I mean, and Bill Gates would be the same way. I've got a lot of friends that they get so darned interested in what they're working on. They just don't see other things.
By far the best investment you can make is in yourself. I mean, for example, communication skills. I tell the students that come that they're going to graduate schools and business, and they're learning all these complicated formulas and all that. If they just learn to communicate better, both in writing and in person, they increase their value at least 50%. I mean, if you can't communicate, somebody says, it's like winking at a girl in the dark. Nothing happens, basically. And you have to be able to get forth your ideas, and that's that's relatively easy. I did it myself with the Dale Carnegie course. Some people wish I'd taken a shorter course now in terms of my talking later on. But it's just hugely important. And if you invest in yourself, nobody can take it away from you. I mean, the second thing, which I'll get a certain criticism for not living it, but I do tell those students, that if I gave you a car and it'd be the only car you get in the rest of your life, you take care of it like you can't believe it. Any scratch, you'd fix that moment. You read the owner's manual, you keep a garage, do all these things, and you get exactly one mind and one body in this world. And you can't start taking care of it when you're 50. By that time, you'll have rusted out if you haven't done anything. So you should really make sure that you just remember that you just got one mind and body to get through life.